Good day, everybody. We're back again. It is Atlanta Discuss. You know, we come to you every Friday with a reverberating topic, something that appeals to everybody social, cultural, economical, political. We try and act like a conscience of the people. We are true to power. Irrespective of who is concerned, we're neither left or right. Put it this way, we are centrist. We go for the jugular always. Today, we're going to discuss something that's very special, something that some would say out of the ordinary. It's been there, it's not new, but we want to put a very, open conversation to it. Let people discuss it. Some will say it's cultural, some will say it's more of tourism. I think it's economical and it's all encompassing. Today, we're going to talk about the Jollof War. Yeah, Jollof War. I know a lot of you have tweeted about it in the past. There's been battle of the Jollof Wars across the African continent. I think Nigerian Jollof is the best for very, very obvious reasons. But today we're going to talk to the man that right now is championing the new Jollof War culinary contest in South Africa. You all know who I'm trying to talk about. No other person than Tuji Omotola. Tuji Omotola, welcome to Atlantic Discourse.
Thank you very much, Dave, for having me on your platform.
Yes. Tuji, is not a visitor. It's not new to us. He's a wine connoisseur. He's an activist, a politician, he's a public commentator, highly opinionated, very educated, cerebral. You'll be shocked that Tuji has an educational background in so many things, but we're not here to talk about that. That's not in dispute. Today we're just doing the Jollof battle. So in our tradition, we'll go for the jugular always. Right now, Tuji, this Jollof War you're organizing, before we go into it proper, can you tell us what is the origin of the Jollof Wars? I have an idea, but I know you're an authority. Where did this emanate from? Where did it start from?
Okay, look, I think, first of all, let's situate it properly. So Jollof is from the Wolof. The term Jollof is from the Wolof tribe in Senegal. But you also have Wolof in Gambia.
Okay.
And in Wolof, Jollof means one pot. One pot. Yeah. So cooking with one pot. Everything goes in one pot. So that's Jollof. So that's the first thing. Secondly, the origins. In fact, the one lady in there's a place called, I think it's St. Louis or something in Senegal, where they claim that Jollof originated from. But the way that the Senegalese cook theirs is very different from the way that Nigerians or Ghanaians cook theirs. They put a lot of fish in theirs and they put a lot of vegetables. They put all sorts of condiments in that Nigerians and Ghanaians don't put it. But even the United Nations, UNESCO, has already put Senegal on the list. Their jollof has been like a heritage, a cultural heritage embellishment. So let's give it to Senegal. They're the source of this jollof that we are all excited about today.
Oh, wow.
But then the war started between Ghana and Nigeria. You know how it is. Ghana and Nigeria, we're always competing with each other in football, in music, There's always those brotherly spats that we have. A lot of Ghanaians are married to Nigerians and vice versa. So we're always competing. So about 7 years ago, this Jollof War just started. Ghana and Nigeria, who makes the best Jollof? And it's been going on for almost a decade. It's now become almost like a football rivalry, like Manchester United and Man City, or the Pirates and football club in South Africa, Kaiser Chiefs. So yeah, it's become a real story. And it's good because it's raising the profile and awareness of African cuisine on an international stage, because you've had Jamie Oliver get into trouble for creating a recipe that was not very, folks were not very happy with it. Then you had Zuckerberg, he sat on the fence. Then you had Lai Mohammed, who got into trouble, the former minister. who got into trouble for saying Senegal jollof is better than Nigeria
Oh
jollof. Yeah,
God.
so that's basically it's grown a life of its own.
Interesting. We're going to have a lot of fun today, clearly, you know. We're going to learn so much. I mean, I've always known that there was a Wolof ethnic group, tribe in Kenya, Senegal. I never knew that the name Jollof emanated from Wolof. So I've learned something new today. Thank you to the moving encyclopedia. I know that. I say it all the time. So what do you intend to achieve with this competition? I mean, you're organizing a Jollof War competition. Now, this is a three-in-one question. What do you intend to achieve with it? That's one. Is it economical? Is it cultural? Is it just mere tourism? Or thirdly, maybe you just want to unite all the warring parties and all that, you know? What do you want to achieve with it?
Okay, so basically for me, I call it, I'm in the lifestyle journey. You know, I've lived in Ghana, lived in South Africa. I grew up in Nigeria. I mean, recently when I was in London, I know how difficult it was for me to find African food. I was seeing Burmese food, Chinese food everywhere in
Yeah.
Wilson. When you're looking for African food now, delivery becomes a challenge. Maybe they're not on the Mr. D or, and
Mm,
then, I ended up eating a Caribbean one. Look, the theme of this one is celebrating culture for mutual development. I think that Africans we're not seen regularly promoting our way of life.
mm,
Our food is a very important part of our way of life, but you struggle to find African food as often as you will find African people. Now, there are many reasons for that because it's not easy to set up an African restaurant in a country where there are few Africans and the cost of setting it up. But what we want to do, because we now have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area and we have a lot of symbiosis. Look, let me give you a practical example. A Ghanaian no longer needs a visa to come to South Africa. And South Africans do not need a visa to go to Ghana. That is revolutionary. And the same goes for Kenya. So Kenyans no longer need a visa. They have a waiver, almost like what the British will have to go to the United States and the Americans have to go to Europe. So I am trying to bridge cultures. I'm trying to promote intra-African trade. My goal is to see jollof rice being visible like pasta or pizza or
yeah.
sushi on the shelves of supermarkets. So in the longer term, I'd like to have my own jollof sitting on the shelf in Durban in a supermarket. That's the ultimate goal. But for now, it's also going to be good. Remember, just a few months ago, there was this big hoo-ha about Chidima, the young
Mm,
lady who contested for Miss SA. They said she was not South African enough. That was even before they found out that there was a prima facie case that her mother may have stolen a South African lady's identity. You know, they were already rejecting her because she had foreign names and she couldn't speak vernacular. So, this kind of effort that we're making from the food angle, it will help us to expose more South Africans and other Africans who may not have tasted jollof before. Maybe they're from Libya, they're from Ethiopia, from Malawi, from Zambia. So it's going to be a good way to promote our way of life. So yes, economic, but cultural as well, because after all, they say food is a quick way to get to people's heart. So if you want somebody to like you, just give them a good dish.
okay. You're right.
Yeah.
And even matrimonially, they say that the easiest way to a man's heart is through the stomach. Yeah.
Toma.
Yeah. So, are you picking participants from this? Can I, for example, decide to register or just join, or do you have?
Good question.
Yeah. How do
Look,
you get people?
I said it a few days ago. I said that there is a tendency for people to think
Mm,
that those who don't have a restaurant cannot cook a dish
Mm.
maybe as good or even better than those who own a restaurant. Then there's also a school of thought that says that those who own restaurants do not put in all the ingredients in
True.
their food because they need to minimize costs and they need to expand profit. So in this competition is open. Whether you, if you're a German, if you believe you can cook jollof, come through. We're not doing any apartheid. We're not assuming also that Nigerians and Ghanaians, yes, there's a war between Ghanaians and Nigeria, but there are many countries that cook jollof, Gambia, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, Mali,
Ethiopians
Senegal.
actually.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. So, and there are many South Africans who are married to Nigerians, and you know how Nigerians are. They will
Mm.
have insisted that their wife should learn how to
That's,
make at least jollof and eba.
oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, so this is basically open. There's no barrier. It's like the Olympics.
Mm.
Once you have come from any country in Africa, ideally, we would like to see more Nigerians and Ghanaians and Senegalese because they're the ones who are the heavyweights, almost like your Barcelona and
Mm.
Real Madrid. But if the smaller countries want to come, housewives, students, from 18 to 90, actually. So we're not limiting the scope at all. But obviously, what will limit us is the venue. So we only have about 16 or so stoves that they can use, or
Oh, okay.
maybe 32. For those who don't mind cooking, some people don't like cooking side by side with someone else.
Oh yeah.
So especially if they are competing.
Mm.
So we would cap it to about 16 participants, and there's no criteria. Just pay 1,000 rand and come through on the day, Sunday, the 10th of November. And we've tied it to Ken Saro-Wiwa's memorial anniversary. Ken Saro-Wiwa was killed on November 10, 1995, by the military junta of General Sani Abacha, Nigeria's maximum dictator. So we want to remember Ken Saro-Wiwa, also especially because he was an environmentalist. And today we're talking about climate change. The weather in South Africa today is very, very hot. So we want to bring Ken Saro-Wiwa right full into the conversation about culture. We want to talk about what he stood for, the environment, and so that we can remember, who we are and our great African heroes.
Yeah.
So we're linking food to history and also the environment.
You actually took it out of my mouth because my next question was going to be because I know you are very historical, and politically minded. So I was going to ask you, what was the date symbolic? Because I know you probably will
Yes.
never just pick a date. So you
Yes.
answered that very well, and I think that
Yes,
was.
what we have said we must do, and I think all of us should learn the trick. And
Mm.
I think maybe I picked it up from my dad as well, my late father. So when you want to do anything in life that is important, try and link it to a date in history. What that does is you will never forget that event. A lot of people will not forget. So let me give you an example. The previous Jollof Wars that we did, the first one and the only one we've done, was in 2021 on Youth Day, which is June 16 in South Africa. So now it's very difficult to forget Youth Day or Mandela Day or New Year's Day. So we are using, and we always go for the date of death or the date of birth of our great African heroes. And that's why we chose, because Saro-Wiwa was born on the 10th of October and he was killed on the 10th of November. And if you remember, he was also the author of A Month and a Day, which he wrote in prison while he was in solitary confinement. So I then did a further exercise. I said Saro-Wiwa was killed on the 10th and he was born on the 10th, and the country that prosecuted him also has its independence in the 10th month.
Mm.
And guess what? The country is 64 years old, and Sarowiwa was killed at age 54. 64 minus 54 is 10. So
Mm.
this 10 keeps popping up
So,
around Sarowiwa on the country that killed him.
yeah, apart from the strategic dates, are you going to honor Saruiwa that day in any way? Are you going to, because we're speaking about why you picked that day, but on the
Yes,
day of the competition, are you going
yes,
to say anything?
absolutely.
Okay, go
Yes,
ahead.
what
Can you
we
tell us?
would do,
Mm.
as we normally do on the 10th of November, because we've done this before for Sarowiwa. So what we do is remind people of Sarowiwa's story, his journey. Remember, he set up movement for the survival of the Ogoni people
Yeah, that's
when
all.
he saw the hopelessness of his people. Pollution, they can no longer farm or fish, and the company Shell Oil, they were doing their thing and they were making their money, and he ran into serious problem with the Nigerian government as a result. So we're going to be tracing his journey, talk about what he stood for, what he actually was able to achieve, because he was able to achieve quite a lot, and that's why he was arrested and picked up. They had to stop him. And also we will talk about his literary success, his books. If you remember, he wrote that book, Soza Boy,
Yeah,
in rotten English, and he wrote many other books. And he also was the producer of Bassi and Company, the very successful Nigerian TV series. And even before that, he was Commissioner for Education in the Old River State. So we just want to highlight his pedigree, perhaps read a few paragraphs from Soza Boy in rotten English, so that people get a sense, because now 75 million Nigerians speak pidgin English. So you can imagine when he wrote that book, not too many people spoke pidgin. So we'll be talking about him and just linking culture and environment together, and casting our mind to the fact that what he died for, there's been no improvement.
interesting. Is it going to be a yearly event? And if it's going to be yearly, are you going to rotate it among countries, or it's going to be in South Africa all the time?
Jollof was okay. Firstly, if I say it's going to be yearly, that would be ambitious of me, but we would like to see it happen every year. So we would like to see it happen every year. When we have a lot more support and partners, we will do it every year. It's good to do things on an annual basis. But in terms of moving it around, I don't think there's any need to do so. And I'll tell you why. In this country, there's enough Africans from all over Africa for us to be able to give Africa, any African event, all the status that it deserves. And, it will really grow because the population of Nigerians, Ghanaians, Senegalese, and French speaking that are here is very significant. So there's a community. So we will not be needing to stretch. There are already folks doing it in Ghana. There are folks doing it in Nigeria. I can speak for Ghana and Nigeria. I know there was a Rotterdam, there was an African food festival 2 months ago in Netherlands, in Rotterdam. There was an African food festival, but Jollof was there, Uganda food was there. I also know that there was an event in Washington that was won by a Nigerian. I think a Gambian won the one in Ghana. And then I think Nigeria won the one in Washington. So these things are growing, and they're growing in different directions. But we're going to focus on South Africa for the reasons that I've shared with you, that there's a significant size of African population here, and even 3 generations here. So we're
Wow.
going to situate it here. This is the home of Jollof Wars SA, and maybe one day we'll have a Jollof Wars Botswana, but we're not going to go far because it's not easy to move around Africa, as you
You
know.
never know. So you have a panel of judges that's going to pick a winner at the end of the day, correct?
Yes, we
Okay.
have a panel of judges, we have food anthropologists, we have chefs, we have people who have a sophisticated palate like yourself, people who eat the best good food that they can access. not saving. You know, I always say if you are saving money, you're not going to eat very good food.
Oh God, today you're
So we
so
have judges. We're very happy with the quality of judges, and we try and get judges. In fact, we get judges that are not, they don't have, they're not participating, as in they don't have their representative cooking, and
mm,
they're a judge. You know what I mean? So unbiased, ideally people who are not people who have, restaurants who are going to have maybe say something negative about someone else because it might be competition. But yeah, judges are in place.
so I know you want to showcase Kensariwa, some other things like that, you know. So, but what apart from food, what other cultural element will be showcased? I know you're talking
Okay.
about the environment and all that. So,
Yes.
it's just going to be the food, Kensariwa.
Yeah.
We're still going to talk
I
about
think I think
river.
because it's a food competition.
Mm,
So I always say it's like when you watch the Olympics
mm.
and you start watching the athletics. So there's rituals that happens. They do the heats, they come out,
Oh, okay.
the whole ritual, then they take you maybe obviously because you're watching many sports, then they might take you to the long jump and
Mm.
so on. But in our case, we're going to be doing wine tasting,
Oh,
and we
wow.
might have somebody come and sing for us a cappella.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we're also hoping to have exhibitors or people like they can bring kuli kuli, eba,
Wow. Mm.
robo,
Oh, I'm hungry.
agbalumo, and
I'm hungry.
dodokiri and so
I'm
and
hungry.
zobo and
Oh,
zobo.
God. Oh,
So
God.
yeah, so anybody that has food and beverage that is that is healthy and that is African, we're very happy to have them.
Interesting. So,
Yeah.
as judges, I mean, clearly, I know with your pedigree, you're going to come with the best, you know, the requisite knowledge and all that. You've said that already. So, can you share some of the criteria that we use in picking? I mean, because jollof,
Yeah,
you know, is
of course.
spicy, it's red,
Yeah.
there are
Yeah, there's
different
some
kind of
broad, there's
rice.
some broad, yeah, there's a presentation, even a child knows if you're doing
Yeah.
any
I
food.
know they will taste,
Um,
but what are the
yeah,
other?
presentation, of course, the aroma, the taste. You're looking for certain things,
Mm,
If you're having jollof, you want to taste if it's Nigerian jollof, obviously you will be able to pick it up that it's got smokiness. If
mm,
it's Ghanaian jollof, it's cooked in a different way. They tend to put more things, on the face of it. When you look at it, you see that it looks, the color is
mm,
deeper. But the broad things that, when you're looking at tastes, whether it's wine or food, there's some general categories that you're looking for. If, say, it's jollof, it mustn't taste like fried rice. The rice
mm,
mustn't be soggy, it's got to be crispy, it's got to have lots of spiciness, not necessarily too hot, So obviously all those little things would but I think the presentation is always very important.
fantastic.
The taste, yeah, the aroma, the nose, the flavors, how they blend together. But crispy above all, the rice must be crispy. Once it's soggy, then obviously it doesn't mean that the rice is not sweet
Mm,
or it's not nice taste. It's just that the appearance then doesn't look
true.
as, yeah. But there'll be other things that the judge, maybe the mood of the judge. Some judges, they come with their own mood.
But they're hungry and the food is already on time. Let me ask you this. There are a lot of local businesses in South Africa. There are Ghanaians living in South Africa, Nigerians living in South Africa, Botswana, you know. In Zimbabwe, I understand you have Shona and Ndebele, you have all sort of people from all over the world. Now, how do local entrepreneurs benefit from what you're trying to do? Can they, for example, if, for example, I import Gary from Nigeria, can I get a stand there and come
Yes.
and sell my Gary?
Yes, look, once you have a store that promotes African food, obviously you're not going to you probably bring some samples of what you have. You can't possibly bring everything. And you also bring things that the people, they'll move. So Gary is definitely something, yam and things like that. So yeah, the purveyors of African food are welcome. And look, even non-purveyors of African food, if it's healthy, they're welcome to display. The last event we had, there was beer on
Mm.
display, there was wine, and there were books, and we even sang national anthems as well.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, I know that in anything African, there are always obstacles. You understand? I know it's not always a walk in the park, but yeah, you're somebody that you get things done irrespective of the obstacle. Have you experienced any obstacle trying to put this together? I mean, if there's any, can you share with us?
Yeah, look, first of all, you know how our people are, they don't do things on time. So
Mm,
we would like to see people start to make payments. Look, also what we're doing is that we're not doing it the traditional way
mm,
where people go to compute tickets, the impersonal way. I think when you do things like that, you don't really build, that contact with your prospects, your partners, when you go compute ticket, maybe when we're bigger. But what it is that I think people generally, I think there's an economic decline.
mm.
There's tough times, whether it's in Ghana, in
It's all
Nigeria,
over
South
the world.
Africa.
Mm,
Yeah, there's tough times. But look, like anything, because it's Jollof, we are confident that we're going to do well and people will join us. I mean, people have already, somebody just paid for 4 tickets just now, one family, early bird,
oh,
negotiating a discount, tough discount,
oh,
but
wow.
it's paid. Yeah, and we had a sponsor who has helped us to be able to secure the venue,
Mm.
which is very important. Once we've got the venue, I mean, I think we're already on our way, and we've got 27 days to go.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm sure when people get paid month end, we start seeing people making those commitments month end. They start getting paid on the
Interesting.
25th. So we will close it on the 3rd, a week before. So that's why we have early bird for 395 Rand. And then we have the normal tickets for 500 Rand.
Oh,
And
wow.
then we have the participants who only pay 1,000 Rand. And some are asking for a discount, even on 1,000 Rand.
The
And
African
the,
man, we huggle. We always huggle. We always
the
huggle.
exhibitors, 2,000 Rand, those ones are also asking for a discount. So
Oh,
I think
God.
we're in the discount season.
Mm. Will
Yeah.
the participants, if, like you said, if we have 16 of them, will they be participating in picking the winner?
No, that would be no, there wouldn't be. Look, we have judges. So
Mm,
what we can do is that we could do a questionnaire, and obviously they'll have numbers, but because of the way the kitchen is and the size of the pots they'll use, I don't think that unless they have done, and some people might be clever to do that. Maybe they might decide to bring
mm,
extra. They might bring food that they're going to cook, but they will bring extra already prepared. You see what I mean? So
mm,
they could come in two ways. So they could have food that they've cooked already, right?
mm-hmm.
Which they want to dish out.
Shout,
And
yeah.
then, yeah, they could then cook the same thing also there. That'll be
Oh,
judged there, fresh. So we're not going to knock people. So if somebody says, look, I'd rather just bring my food and present it, we're
mm,
not going to disqualify them.
okay.
Yes, we'll still allow them to come in because some people might not have the energy. It's a Sunday afternoon. They might not have the energy to stand up and cook, maybe because of their circumstances.
Mhm.
It's a weekend, family. So we wouldn't be rigid and say, oh, you got to come and cook for 3 hours on a Sunday afternoon. If you want to bring your one and just present it in a very nice way, we wouldn't penalize participants who, because that's what happened even the last time.
Mm.
So we had people who preferred to come and cook, and we had others who said, no, I'll cook where my kitchen is or my restaurant, and I'll bring it and present it. So
So
yeah,
do you still have space? Do you still have spaces for new competitors? Have you filled up the 16?
yeah, no, we haven't filled up. We just started advertising. We
Oh,
have
okay.
space. Yeah, we even have space for celebrity chefs like you to come and join us.
Okay, okay. I'll look
Yeah,
into that.
you're allowed to
I
come
cook
in.
jollof very well, so
Yeah, so or
I'm
you
sure
can
if
or you
I
can
find
DHL
out, I'll
your
win.
one. You can DHL it.
Okay, cool, cool. Or I could just surprise you, you know.
Yeah.
All right, so I mean, you're in South Africa clearly, and there is a lot of issues, Nigeria-South Africa relationship. Now, you said earlier on that for a Ghanaian to come to South Africa is visa free. For Kenya, I think it's you get it at the point of entry and all that.
No,
Why
it's
are
also
they
the same, visa free. No point
visa
of entry
free?
is the waiver. You don't need anything.
Okay, good. So why is there nothing like that for Nigerians?
Okay, look, I think the Nigerian situation is very different. I'll tell you why. Firstly, Nigeria, I remember about 7, 8 years ago, I posed the same question to someone very senior in
Hmm,
the ruling party. And they said to me that Nigeria has a very big problem of identity, that we
hmm.
don't have national identity cards. That
Oh
was
wow.
before NIN. That was before NIN. Now, even with NIN now, I don't know how much foolproof the NIN is,
Hmm,
but another issue that they had was security, insecurity. Let me use the word insecurity in Nigeria. So that's the second one. The third point that they have not voiced out, but I know it's probably an issue,
hmm,
is this whole issue of our image,
hmm.
the image, especially the reputation of our people in South Africa. This whole criminality and things like that. That perception is very strong.
Oh
So
wow.
I think, yes, I mean, look, it's even just a few days ago, somebody was arrested, Nigerian nationality, a cleaner came to give him some headphones, some drugs, whatever, whatever. The cleaner is on the run. He's been arrested. He was coming from Brazil. So these are some of the issues that make it difficult for Nigerians to be able to travel. And incidentally, South Africans can travel visa on arrival to Nigeria, but
Oh
Nigerians can't even travel visa on arrival to South Africa. And that
oh
has been there for about 5 years.
wow. Wow.
So even visa on arrival, Nigerians can't get it. So it's a lot of more internal factors as opposed to external factors that Nigeria will have to look at.
Okay,
But
let's
they
look at
should continue
Chidima.
to.
Hmm.
Sorry?
Let's look at Chidima. Chidima, the Nigerian girl that you know the story. So I
Yeah.
mean, after all said and done, I know you spoke a lot about it. We're almost going to have an interview on it. Now the rest is history. She won a pageant in Nigeria and all that. Do you think the South Africans regret the way there's any semblance of regret in the way they handled it, or they still feel vindicated?
Look, I think if you look at the mood of many that I've
Mm,
spoken to,
mm,
and I do have many friends who are South Africans, I think they're angry with they're more worried about the lady whose identity was stolen,
mm,
allegedly stolen by Chidima's mom.
mm,
And so for them, then they're even saying, this is what they're saying when you speak to folks, that they feel for that they feel that they were not happy that she won the Miss Universe Nigeria, that they felt that the organizers that shortchanged the girls who competed, who had been there in camp and all that. She just came last minute. So they're not really, a lot of them are not sympathetic towards her at all.
mm,
But there are others who feel that, especially before the allegations of theft, prima facie
mm,
evidence of theft,
mm,
stolen identity, there are many well-meaning South Africans who spoke in our defense, and
mm,
there are those who still feel that look, it was too heavy-handed. They shouldn't have treated her like that. I mean, she didn't commit any crime. If anything, it was her mom, and even that was only found out 2, 3 days before the purge, and that was because they kept hounding her. So maybe if they weren't hounding her, she would have just gone through the thing, and maybe she wouldn't have won. and we would have all forgotten about her now
True.
because
True.
no one remembers the lady who came second or third.
That's
They
true.
only remember Mia Leroux, who won. And she and Chidima will meet in Mexico next month
For the world pageant.
for the Miss Universe. Yeah.
Yeah, the world war.
Yeah.
So, I mean, personally, I've always said it. I see it as a bridge. Yeah, the bridge between South Africa and Nigeria. You know, I know we have ambassadors and diplomats trying to do that, but as far as I'm concerned, and we've discussed at editorial level, they don't seem to know what they're doing. There is Adetunji Omotola living in South Africa that is bridging the gap every day, hourly, by the second and by the day. Now, they've said xenophobic problem is there, it's not living. You know, and I know that even though you've not said it, but I know part of what you want to achieve is to bridge that cultural gap, you know, and you live there, they know you, they respect you and all that. But is there anything more that needs to be done to to reduce the level of distrust between South Africa and Nigeria? I mean, it is common knowledge that the role we played in, you know, for ANC in their getting their freedom, independence. Nigeria played a very, very, very strategic role. And people like MK Abiola gave money, not, I mean, we're talking individuals now. Thabo Mbeki was in Nigeria for a long time. They're all beneficiaries and all that. So Nigeria, in my opinion, it's not been treated fairly, but we do know that there are lacunas in our own system of administration. You know, there's been a lot of
Look,
failure.
all these points that you have made, they're very valid. But the problem, Adeolu, is that, you know, when you hear the same thing every day from so many different people, the same thing, it becomes boring. South Africans are bored. They hear that thing every day. Every time there's xenophobia, Nigerians remind them of what we did for them during apartheid.
My question was going to be, what is the origin of it? What are we actually doing so badly? I mean, I haven't done all that, whether we repeat it or not. What will warrant them treating us the way they're doing?
Okay, let me then tell you what it is. No, let me tell you what it is. So let me tell you. Firstly, how would you feel? You've got kids. How would you feel if somebody is going to your child's school and through the fence, they're selling your kids drugs, hard drugs?
Oh, wow.
That's one. That's one. Two, how would you feel if somebody, you have daughters and underage and so on, how would you feel if somebody gets your underage daughter and takes her and turns her into a prostitute and feeds her drugs?
I'll be unhappy. I mean, I'll do whatever I have to do to stop them.
Okay. Let me give you another one. How would you feel if you find that your wife, your lovely wife, is an accomplice with a drug baron, and they have to go to, are you a minister? You're a minister, sitting minister. The list is long. Stolen identity, fraud, even people are practicing cultism. It's bad. They're killing each. Okay, what about Nigerians killing Nigerians in South Africa? What can be more damaging to a country's reputation than when his own people are killing each other, not once a year, but in multiples? Multiples. So there's so many bad things that our people do that, and you know, the irony is that Nigerians never condemn crime in South Africa. They never say anything. You never see a Nigerian go the same vigor that folks are using, and I have nothing against the clergy, but the same vigor that our clergy used to set up store, and sometimes they do 4 services in a day, 4 services in a day. If they can use 4 church services in a day. So if they can use that same vigor to condemn crime or begin to rehabilitate young people who are doing crime in South Africa, I think the idea of getting visa-free would happen quicker. But there is no evidence that Nigerians in South Africa condemn crime. There's no evidence at all. What they do is say, oh, we helped them during this, they're ingrates, or they'll say, not every Nigerian is a criminal. We have doctors Those people are not interested. They say, listen, your people are committing, they're standing on the road. Why are they standing on the road in Hillbrow in all this way? What are they doing in standing on the road broad daylight? And there are many, like 30, 40, standing on the road. So these are the issues, and we don't have any government that has bothered to say, look, these are our people. We're going to do whatever it takes. What's going on in the Middle East now. For some of these actors, is all or nothing.
Yes.
All or nothing.
All or
do
nothing.
or die. You kill their leader, they appoint another one.
And nobody is sitting on the fence. Yeah, nobody is sitting on the fence.
They are going all in.
Yeah.
They're going all in. They are dug in. Even if they're in a weak position, they're not giving up.
They're not giving up.
Yeah, but in our own case, we talk, no action. I was telling somebody that when you look at America during the days of Martin Luther King and all these guys, Malcolm X, they were not in the same organization, but they were fighting the same injustices. So here we have 100 organizations and none of them are on record for achieving anything on any issue. And that is why we are suffering. Our community is struggling. People say lack of resources, tribalism, Emilokon and so on. There's all sorts of things happening in our community. It almost mirrors what's going on in the larger Nigeria. Very dysfunctional.
It's everywhere in the world. It's everywhere in the world. I know, like in North America, I know we're the most educated migrative bloc. But when you look at cohesion, Nigerians in diaspora working together, it's almost lame duck, it's almost non-existent. And I was just telling some guys yesterday that 80, because I try and listen to people from different nationalities, the Greeks, the Zimbabweans, the Burkinabes,
the Filipinos, and so on.
But yeah, and I actually discovered that everybody else is far more coordinated than the Nigerian contingent.
Even the Haiti people.
Even the Haiti, yeah, Haiti is at war. Kenya just sent policemen to Haiti to help them, but at community level, Haitians are more coordinated. I've seen it. It's not. I'm intentional about how they do it. I just met
the ones that they said they're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
See the way they all came out. Now, most likely they're going to vote in bloc, during this election, Haitians. So for us, I don't see it. Botswana told me, some guy who's just been in state for 6 months, just came for Gabriel, we're talking. So he said, I watch your channel, you're always talking about Nigeria, the largest concentration of black people, Nigeria, one out of every four. He said, what does it talk to? Does it talk to anything economical or strategic for Nigeria? I was dumbfounded, and it was right. That's why I don't say it. I really don't say it. Oh my God. He said it doesn't. He said, how many nuclear scientists of Nigeria origin has invented a nuclear? I know where it was going. But I don't say it again.
The largest number of big power people.
Big power people. Where the guy really got me? He said, India is 1.2 billion people. Nigeria is 200 million people. So how come there are more poor people in Nigeria than in India? I could not respond to that. It's just failure of leadership. Today you are doing a yeoman's job. I respect everything you do. I'm going to call it a wrap there. We'll try and see if we can do another interview before that time. I know it's still, So thank you for being supportive of our cause too. So we'll always do everything to support you. So to all the listeners, doesn't matter where you are, the 4A continent, that's Asia, Africa, Antarctica, if you want to be there, it's never too late. Today is there. We need more cooks, If you're Nigerian in India, if you're an Indian woman married to a Nigerian man, and you've learned the jollof recipe very good,
the Jollof Olympics.
Yes, you were sharing all the details in this interview, so you can reach out and all that. Sujo Omotola, thank you very much. You're a man of so many angles. You're a wine connoisseur, you're a political activist, you're a politician, now you're in the culinary world, man. I tell you, I respect.
Man must work.
Man must work. And strategically, you're propagating the diaspora and the Nigerian diaspora gospel in a very different way. We need to cohabit and act. All these tribal innuendos, religious innuendos.
I've gotten an invite. I've cracked an invite to the Igbo Lawyers Association
Oh,
annual Ghana dealer.
there's an Igbo Lawyers Association in Ghana. Oh, wow. That's a new one.
In South Africa.
That's
So
a
I've
new
got
one.
an invite. So I'm quite chuffed because as a
Oh, yeah.
Yoruba man, I'm not supposed to.
I think we're actually better about creating those associations, man. You know, I was talking to a professor that I have a lot of respect, fantastic guy. So I was asking him that look, all these associations were forming, you know. So and I asked him about the politics of Nigeria. I was talking about Wiki that can the NBA, Nigeria Bar Association, sanction Wiki? He said, to the best of his knowledge, it's only Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt that can host NBA conference. So even the NBA cannot be too critical of. And we both laughed over it and said, man,
They will lose one of their sponsors.
we don't seem to be covering grounds, actually. It's like we're just going that way. But keep doing what you
Yeah,
do.
but you know, to just finish, all I say is that Mugabe was president for 37 years.
Yeah, so.
Is he still there?
No, it's not. Mobutu, same thing. Bokassa, same thing.
So let's be patient.
About Umabungo. I was watching one of his documentaries. I reading some of his book. Same thing. Feli Ofebuahen, same thing. You know, and the
Dos Santos.
So Dos Santos in Angola, the prof I was talking to even said something. He said, God has a way, you know. I mean, he didn't say God. There was somebody else that said God. He's not a very godly person like that. But he said there's a way something always gives way for Nigeria. He mentioned June 12th. He mentioned Abacha dying and so many other things like that. You know,
God is not sleeping. God is not sleeping. And also remember, Nigerians pray a lot.
Oh, they do. They do.
The prayer that Nigerians are doing. If not for those prayers.
But the guy gets to work on a Monday morning and he's a Wednesday morning now. So all right, to you, thanks. I mean,
thank you so much.
You have a lot to do.
Thank you so much.
To all our viewers and listeners, that's Studio Omotola, the man for the job. He's a regular here, he's in-house, and we love and respect him so much. So get involved in the Jollof War South Africa. You know, you all enjoy it.
Hashtag Jollof War South Africa. Yeah. Hashtag we love Jollof. Hashtag let's cook Jollof.
Yes, so thank you so much, bro. God bless you.
Siyabonga.
Yeah.
Siyabonga. God bless.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.